When we hear the word leader, we think of the world leaders, the presidents, and the prime ministers. We think about the generals, the leaders in battle. We think about the religious leaders and the leaders of causes. We think about the CEOs, the champions of business, and we think about the captains of teams and the leaders of expeditions. It's important to realize that leadership is not a title. Leadership is not a position. Leadership is a way of acting. It's about inspiring and supporting others. It's about bringing the best out of other people. And that said, leading is something that we can all do. We all get the opportunity to lead. There is not one right way to lead. It depends very much on the circumstances you're faced with and the people involved. Good leaders have a range of leadership styles to choose from, and they understand the circumstances when each style has its advantages. There is the pace-setting approach, leading by example. Do as I do. There is the directing approach, telling people what to do. Do what I tell you to do. There is the coaching approach, which aims to empower and upskill people. Try this. There is the democratic approach, which follows the consensus. What do we all think? And there is the supporting approach, helping those who are struggling. Can I help? So don't wait for someone to give you the title of leader or captain. Whenever you are around other people, be a leader. Bring out the best in others. To help you to do this, here are 10 terrific tips for you to try. Tip 1. Make sure your group is positioned in a way that helps you to work together well. There isn't one correct way to sit as a group, but there are plenty of wrong ways. If you're using a shared resource like a laptop, everyone needs to be in a position to see the screen. If you are discussing something, try to sit around the table as opposed to being in a straight line. When working in pairs, sitting alongside your partner is usually better than sitting opposite them. Finally, if there is a quieter, less talkative member of your team, encourage them to get more involved by having them sit in the middle of the group rather than on the edges. How you sit makes a big difference to how well your group collaborates. Leaders recognize this and they make sure seating positions don't just happen by chance. Tip 2. When discussing, have only one person speaking at a time. The beginning of collaborative tasks is often greeted by a cacophony of noise, with group members enthusiastically sharing their initial thoughts and ideas. Whilst it's great to have people who are keen to express themselves, having more than one person speaking at a time is a problem. Good ideas are lost in the noise, and often the loudest, most persistent talkers end up influencing the way forward. Decisions end up being made on the strength of someone's voice rather than on the strength of their ideas. When you recognize this is happening, it's important to use your leadership skills to encourage everyone to take it in turns to speak. Volunteering to share your viewpoint last shows that you are happy to lead by example. An obvious approach is to begin by asking the person next to you for their input, and afterwards head around the group in a clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. Another approach is to give talk tokens to each member of your team. When they speak, they place their token in the center of the table. They cannot speak again until everyone in the group has used up their token, at which point the tokens are regathered and you begin again. Tip 3.
Ask questions to draw out the ideas of those who are not yet contributing. None of us is as smart as all of us. A good leader knows it's important that everyone in the group gets involved. This can be difficult, especially when you have quieter people who are reluctant to contribute. When faced with this, use questions to draw out their ideas. What do you think, Carol? Steve, what do you think we should do? Claire, what have you heard that you like? So leading is less about giving your group answers and more about asking your group questions. Tip 4. Encourage each member of your team to listen and respect the voice of everyone. Everybody must feel part of the team and must feel that their ideas and opinions are valued. If you notice someone interrupting, talking over somebody, or not listening, it's important to intervene. Done tactfully, you can get the importance of this across without causing offence. Sorry, Jane, I didn't hear everything you were explaining. Can you repeat yourself? David, we'll come to you next, but let's hear what Jane has to say first. Tip 5. Make sure everyone has a task to do. It's common to see people trying to lead their team by attempting to do everything themselves. But that's not leadership. The sharing of ideas, the delegation of tasks, the empowerment of others are all missing here. Each member of your team needs to make a contribution. When assigning tasks, it's sensible to give people something to do that they are going to be good at. So assign roles according to the strengths of each team member. Alternatively, having team members pick what they'd prefer to do may also work, though this might result in you having to do the least exciting task. Tip 6. Plan ahead. Discuss what you're going to do before you do it. Collaborative activities are exciting and fun, particularly practical tasks that involve your team making something. But beware, when enthusiasm is high, planning is frequently forgotten. If you see this is happening, use your leadership skills to slow your group down and make sure you all have a clear plan before beginning. Let's talk about what we're going to do before we start making it. I'm as keen as everybody else to get started, but let's spend 10 minutes deciding the best way forward before we begin. We're only going to have one chance to get this right, so let's share our ideas before we begin. Tip 7. Choose a time to stop and decide if you're on the right track. Time management is a key element that's often lacking when it comes to collaborative tasks. Teams frequently run out of time and the task set is unfinished. Occasionally, teams work too quickly and finish unsatisfactorily ahead of the end time. Leaders need to help their team break down the steps to success onto a timeline. And one important part of this timeline should be a pit stop, when you all stop and get together and decide if you're on the right track. Without this moment of reflection, you might find yourselves working enthusiastically, but heading in the wrong direction. Tip 8. Support and encourage those who may need some help. As well as making their own contribution to the group task, leaders also look to see how their teammates are getting on. If they're struggling, they intervene and try to help. This might mean assisting them, though often just words of encouragement are enough to push them in the right direction. Tip 9. Bring positivity to your group. Being positive is not simply about working with a smile. It's about having that can-do attitude when things become challenging. It's about empowering others, encouraging and listening to their suggestions. It's about giving them responsibility and trusting that they will be able to deliver. As a leader, see it as being your job to keep everyone motivated. This is easy when things are going well, but it is during the times when your group is struggling that your skills as a leader really need to shine. Tip 10. When things don't go well, do not blame anyone. Mistakes are inevitable, especially when you're given a challenging task to do. There's a reason why school pencils are issued with an eraser on the top. How you react when things don't go so well is crucial. A good leader learns from the mistakes and puts measures in place to make sure that they don't happen again. A good leader is observant. They are able to spot when things are beginning to not go so well. A good leader takes responsibility for their team's mistakes. Poor leaders blame others.
So there you go. You now have 10 terrific tips to make you an even better leader.